Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Develop Your Marketing Plan for 2014. I'm Christy Gusick, and I am a partner here at Professional Services Marketing, and we are excited to have you all join us today as we are presenting from the frozen tundra, otherwise known as Minnesota. Today's webinar is the 6th webinar of our Marketing Motivation Series in 2013. And to that end, we would like to just give you a heads up that at the conclusion of today's webinar, we will be having you complete a survey as you exit, which I think if you've been on some of our previous webinars, you're used to doing. However, today's will be a slight bit different as we are going to be asking for your input on webinar topics for 2014. We will be pulling those together here shortly, but would like to hear from you all to see out of the 10 topics that we have come up with, which topics you feel are most pertinent to you and your practice moving forward. So during today's webinar, we also want to bring to your attention that you are welcome to ask questions in the chat section of your webinar box to the right of your screen typically. I will be available as Terry's presenting to answer questions immediately or to provide those questions to Terry at the end for her to answer live over the phone. So I'd like to just take a quick moment to introduce Terry to you all because she is a wonderful person to be presenting on this topic as she is a marketing planning guru. Terry served as an in-house marketing director for over 12 years at 3 prominent law firms here in the Minneapolis area, the third of which had 300 attorneys. So Terry knows what she's doing when it comes to creating both firm-wide marketing plans and individual marketing plans for professionals. She started this firm, Professional Services Marketing, over 18 years ago, which probably puts her in the vicinity of creating, well over 500 marketing plans over the years, we could confidently say. So Terry will be giving you the details, nuts and bolts, if you will, on how to create your marketing plan for success in 2014. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to Terry.
Thank you, Christy. I'd like to welcome all of you to our webinar, and thank you for taking your time. This was a really tough webinar to do, and I'll tell you why, because there's so much information about putting together a marketing plan. So what I really did was I started from scratch, and I didn't want to just go back and rehash presentations that I've given before on this topic. So what you're seeing is a really solid synthesized version of marketing planning best practices. So I'd like to talk for a moment about what we're going to cover today so you know what you have to look forward to. We're going to talk about your contacts and identifying your best contacts, how you choose good clients. We're going to talk about how to identify what makes you unique in the marketplace. Then we're going to move into how you select the target audiences to whom you will be marketing, as well as the messages that you have on why those audiences should hire you. We're going to spend some time discussing marketing objectives. Marketing objectives, in my opinion, are sometimes hard for professionals to get their arms around. So I have a few slides on how you can come up with some very impactful objectives for the growth of your practice. We're also going to talk about a little bit of revenue forecasting and setting some revenue goals, followed by moving into the importance of action plans, both with your contacts as well as your activities. And then I'm going to review a few marketing tools that every professional should have in place for their success. Before we get started, I want to just basically review the components of a marketing plan. We're going to spend most of today talking about the plan itself, but I do want to acknowledge that before you go into the planning process, you want to start by doing a mini assessment of your practice, looking at what's worked, what hasn't worked, what organizations you're involved in, who your contacts are, who you're competing with, where you've spoken in the past. You want to kind of pull everything onto a table and look at it, metaphorically speaking, before you then move into the phase that we're going to be talking about today, which is developing that strategic marketing plan for the growth of your business, your practice, followed by some ideas on implementation, because obviously if you don't do implementation, if you don't sit up and take notice and implement your plan, of course you're not going to generate the results you want. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I do want to mention that it's very important as you look at developing your marketing plan that you have tools you can use to measure the success, measuring the return on investment of marketing. So let's first begin our discussion by talking about identifying your best contacts and the criteria that you have for only adding A-level contacts to your client base. Like I said, I'm really trying to simplify this because I don't think marketing planning should be overwhelming and burdensome. So what I want you to think about are your top 10 lists. And when I say that, that means that you're going to build your marketing plan for 2014 around 25 to 30 individuals. You're not going to look at your Outlook contacts of 1,200 people and say, oh my goodness, where do I start? This is overwhelming. The first step is to identify your very best clients, because as we all know, clients are excellent sources of referral business. We're going to take a look at the types of clients that you would like to be working with. They could be industries. They could be companies. They could be, whoops, I'm so sorry. Let's see here. Sorry about that. They could be companies. They could be individuals. These are people who you want to work with but you haven't developed the relationship with yet. Then, who are your top 10 referral sources? Referral sources are a one-to-many strategy, which simply means that if you have a relationship with a fabulous referral source, they are in a position to be able to refer you to many, many, many prospective clients. The reason this is important is because this is the foundation of your marketing plan. In services marketing, it's all about the people, the contacts, and how you follow up with them on a regular and consistent basis. As I sneak previewed for you, I'm going to mention a few ideas for you in terms of how you identify the criteria for your best clients and contacts. Christy and I firmly believe that if you're going to be out there marketing, you need to have, it's like picking a major in college. You need to know what your best clients and referral sources have in common. Some of the things that we use, and it isn't just about do they have a checkbook and are they going to pay us on time. It's also about how invested are they in the process? How likely is it that you would refer this individual to someone that you trust and respect? That's something to really think about when you're looking at prospective clients. Is this someone I would refer? And your referral sources. Do you like this person? Do you trust them? Do you respect them? When it comes down to business development, you're not just out there to grasp any client that you can get. I've referred to them in the past as door clients, and door clients are whoever walks through the door. And that's not what you're in business to attract. You're in business to say, here's who I am, here's who I'm not. This is what I do best, and I'm going to focus my marketing efforts around ensuring that the clients I'm going after meet that A-level client criteria. It's also important for them to be engaged in the process. They can't be, you have to be in a position where you know that if you call them, they're going to return your phone call.
I hear an echo badly. So when you're, I'm sorry, I just hear an echo and we're working on that on our end, so I hope you don't hear that as well. So let's move on to the next area. How often do you think about what it is that makes you unique as a professional? This is extremely important
because you have to be able to capture the essence of why your clients hire you, in fact, to be able to convey why they should pull you into more business or refer you to others. What is it that makes you unique? Think about what you hear from your clients. What kind of feedback have you received from your referral sources? What unique areas of expertise do you possess? If you're a financial advisor, it's not enough to just say I'm a financial advisor. You want to be able to say, well, I'm a financial advisor and I do a lot of work in the area of tax-deferred benefits. I'm sure I've used that example before. Or that you're an attorney that specializes not just in family law, but in adoption issues within the family law umbrella. So really give some thought to the best and highest use of your expertise. Think about what makes you a better choice than some of your competitors. For clients, it's hard for them to differentiate. Well, this is a lawyer, this is a banker, this is a CPA, this is a financial advisor. They assume because you're doing what you do that you know your stuff. So you need to give them more, and you need to be able to articulately convey what it is that makes you unique. And one way to make it easy, because you don't want to say to someone, well, let me tell you what makes me unique. One way to do that is to say, here's what I've heard from my clients. This is what I'm hearing from my clients on why they value working with me. And the clearer voice you can have in determining and communicating what it is that makes clients hire you, that's key to being able to attract more clients. Think about your best and highest use. Think about the skill levels that you have in certain areas that other people don't, and that's going to be the key to bringing in those A-level clients that you seek to attract. Now let's move into the second section, step 2, and I will also mention that a lot of this information is on our blog. We just did a blog post on this topic, and so it's going to reiterate steps 1 through 8 as you go through and look at creating your marketing plan, hopefully this month, so that you will launch 2014 very strong. Now let's talk about target audiences. When you're looking at who it is you're marketing to, I think a lot of professionals feel like, well, I just have to get my name out there, and they kind of will tend to use more of a shotgun approach. When I talk about target audiences as they relate to your marketing plan, we're talking about, well, first of all, we're always talking about current clients, because as you know, your current clients are going to be a fabulous source of future business for you, because they will have firsthand knowledge of your expertise and, importantly, the way in which you deliver your services, your client service, your responsiveness. So current clients should always be on every professional's target audience list. But then you're going to look at maybe some other business professionals, advisors that your clients also work with. It could be CPAs, lawyers, bankers, consultants, therapists, contractors, chiropractors. It doesn't matter, but what does matter is that you're looking at the advisors that your clients also work with and potentially developing relationships with them. And as you can imagine, your marketing messages, which we're going to get to here in a second, are very different if you're talking to your current clients versus if you're talking to an industry group. Speaking of industry groups, I just want to put a plug in for industries in general, because they are a fabulous way to get in front of prospective clients. And the reason is that I think a lot of professionals also like to join groups that attract others like them, whether it's the CPA Society or SPA for financial advisors or various different bar associations and sections for lawyers. People like to be around people that they have commonality with. But where you're really going to see success in selecting a target audience is when you look at the industry groups or professional groups that attract the people that you want to do business with. Because now you're not going to like this maybe, but what I'm saying is that for each one of these circles of target audiences, you need a little bit different approach to each one in your marketing strategy. So let's talk about when you have developed these relationships, what you need to do in order to develop some positive messages that convey the value you bring. So as you can see, let's say you have 5 different groups of target audiences. Well, you're going to want to come up with some key messages. For example, if you're looking at referral sources, maybe you're a lawyer who practices, I'm going to use the family law scenario again. If you're a lawyer who practices family law, one of your key messages could be marketing to other law firms that we only do family law, and we are going to take good care of your client, but we are not going to try and deliver any other services because this is what we do. That's going to be a very important key message if, in fact, one of your audiences would be, in this scenario, marketing to other attorneys. So your key messages are about why clients hire you and being able to articulate the value that you bring to your clients. And it's not about, well, I went to this law school and I practice in these 17 areas, or I have my MBA and I've been serving my financial clients. It's about the value. What is it that you do to solve the problems your clients bring to you? The essence of those responses should become your key messages. The point is to walk in the moccasins of the person you're trying to reach and to say, what would I want to hear about my own services if I were that person? And if you can project yourself onto the people that you're trying to market to, you're going to have a much better perspective on the key messages that are really going to resonate with them. Now you think key messages. Well, what am I going to do with those? Your key messages are going to be used when you introduce yourself, when you have the opportunity to deliver that elevator speech that we've talked about in past webinars. Your key messages are going to be utilized in proposals that you might do in terms of why hire us and what makes us unique. They'll also be used on your website, in your biography. If you have taken the time to develop key messages, the process is about standardization. You have something to say that makes you unique, and you want to use those key messages throughout your marketing plan, but also in the implementation of that plan and in your day-to-day interactions with people. So it's really important to spend some time identifying those key messages. If you have really close relationships with your clients, there's nothing wrong with saying, why did you hire me? Why did you choose me over the other options that you had? What do you appreciate and value most about working with me? Many times, and I won't go off on a tangent, but we do highly encourage in the key message development process for our clients to do some sort of a client survey so that you can hear firsthand what your clients are saying about you, because that will help you form strong messages to the marketplace. Now we're going to move into setting marketing objectives and revenue goals. And this is an area where, again, a lot of people feel like, well, you know, I see what others are doing, and I'm just going to kind of go for it. But here's why setting objectives is really important. And you've maybe heard this when I say SMART marketing objectives. There's a little acronym, and what it means is that you need to come up with objectives, which are broad-based activities that will allow you to meet your goals. They need to be specific, they need to be measurable, you need to be able to achieve them, they have to be realistic, and you have to set a time frame for them. This is the part of your marketing plan that allows you to say, in 2014, I would like to build 3 to 5 strong referral relationships with people that I am not currently engaged with or referring business to and from. Now, that is specific and measurable. You want to identify 3 to 5. You want to do this by, let's say, June of 2014. Another example would be, I would like to increase my revenue by 25% by third quarter of 2014. Well, that certainly is measurable. Where the rubber meets the road is how you get to that, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, because how you get to achieving your objectives is what you do tactically in your marketing plan. One more example on setting an objective would be, I want to have a client satisfaction rating of 99%. I want 99% of my clients to rave about my services and hopefully refer me to others. Well, the question then is, how do you measure that? One way to measure that, as we just discussed, is to do a client satisfaction survey and to ask a question potentially that would be, knowing what you know about our law firm, our financial advisory firm, or you as a professional, would you refer us to others? That particular response is always overwhelming for people, because 99.99% of respondents will say, of course I would refer you. So it's taking the objectives that are the higher level, need to be specific, need to be measurable, and ultimately boiling down to them to the what it is you're going to do to achieve those objectives. People sometimes start to feel overwhelmed at this stage, so now I'm going to overwhelm you just a tiny bit more, because when it comes to a professional services business, we have coined a term called the 4 pillars of marketing that I'm sure we've talked about before, and it's important when you're looking at setting objectives to review the 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is about retaining and growing relationships with your existing clients. Well, how am I going to set some objectives around that? This is where you delve into, okay, maybe I want a service or an objective around client satisfaction or client service. Maybe I want to increase my revenue with existing clients by 25% between now and June. That would be cross-marketing. That would be an objective for that. These are just topical areas for you to say, do I want to have an objective around this area for my 2014 marketing plan? You don't have to do them all. The second pillar, of course, is about new business development. What are my objectives around networking, targeting prospective clients, doing some market research, becoming involved in trade or professional associations, specific and measurable, what it is you're going to do and by when. Increasing name recognition. What do you want to do in the areas of advertising, branding, PR, community involvement, social media? Maybe an objective in social media would be, by February of 2014, I would like to achieve 500 connections on LinkedIn. It has to be something you can measure. Targeted communications. What are my objectives around how many times I'm going to communicate with clients and on what topics? Is it about making an objective that says I will do quarterly communications to my clients on the following topics? You have to put something in your objectives that's going to be an activity that is quantifiable and measurable so that you know that you have been successful. Now, this is always a fun exercise to do at the end of the year. What the exercise is pretty darn simple, and it's a boiled down version of revenue forecasting. I believe that if you are in your own business, you're building your practice, you're responsible for your future compensation and growth and revenue, then you are a business and you need to deal with your growth as a business owner would. This is a very simple thing to do, but I think it would give you good feelings going into 2014. So what you would do is you would identify first what is that revenue goal that you want to hit. Even if you're part of a firm, you still have a personal revenue goal that you would like to achieve. You take that revenue goal, let's say it's $500,000 that you want to generate in revenue in 2014. Then set that aside and identify all of the clients that you're currently working with who you know are going to continue on in 2014. It's not as if January comes around and you're at a blank slate and none of your clients are with you anymore. So there is planned revenue. There are clients that will continue their work with you that you know might have a big litigation case coming up. You have to look in your crystal ball a little bit, but identify the revenue that you are planning to take in 2014. And basically the difference between the two, your $500,000 and whatever you have in revenue that's pretty much on the books already, is going to represent your new business development goal. What that does is it tells you, so let's say you have $280,000. Your revenue goal is $500,000. You're pretty darn sure that if everything goes as you're planning, that you're going to have $280,000 coming in from your existing clients. Well, that means that your actual new business development goal is $220,000. That's your real goal. You need to figure out, how am I going to get that $220,000? Is it going to come from 4 or 5 larger clients? Is there a way I can do it on a smaller basis? I believe you have to have a number, that the intent of just saying I want to generate more revenue is not going to do it for you. You need to have that number in front of you every single day so that you have something quantifiable to reach and to achieve. Now, the only way, of course, that you're going to be able to achieve your revenue and growth goals is by committing to taking action. And I just want to talk a little bit about the fact that there are two types of action plans in everyone's marketing plan. First of all, there are the activities that you're going to pursue. My website needs a facelift. I need to do more client communications. I'm going to send holiday cards this year. You have all these various different activities that you're pursuing, but you also have the contacts. And in a service business, that's where the rubber meets the road, is how you leverage your contacts. So the first thing we're going to look at here are the various different activities you have. And this is just a reminder, because having worked with professionals for 30 years, there are a lot of excuses. Marketing is not something that you learned in law school, that you spent a lot of time in business school, because you're a professional, you're delivering professional services. So it seems like there's always an excuse that can come up as to, you know what, I'm really busy right now and I just don't have time to market, or, you know, why would I want to do marketing when I can hardly keep up with the work that I have? There are a lot of excuses that people will use to excuse themselves from having to take a thoughtful process and put it into place so that you are literally weaving your marketing activities through the fabric of your practice. It's not something you do on Friday when you have time. If you're truly going to commit to implementing your marketing plan, you need to have action steps that you can take every single day. Now, don't let that scare you either. It might be, I'm waiting for a document to print out, and I'm going to call this person that I've been meaning to connect with, and I'm going to schedule a lunch with them. The lunch might be in a month or a month and a half, but you're taking action. And that is by far and away the common thread that successful professionals have, is that they value the role that marketing and new business development plays in their growth and success, and they don't put it off. It's easy for litigators, for example. When you're litigating a case, it's immersion. It's hard to step back and say, I'm working 14-hour days, now I need to figure out how I'm going to do this marketing thing. But taking action, one small thing every day, is a mantra that I would love to have you consider as you get into 2012. The reason that I put the objectives and the tactics is that I want you to see how they relate to one another. You have those big, broad-based, smart objectives that are measurable. Well, then what you have to do is to say, how am I going to do that? What am I going to actually do in order to achieve that objective? So this is where, in the scenario with the client service, what you want to do is achieve a client satisfaction rating of 99%. How you do that is, number one, conduct a client satisfaction survey by June of 2014. That is a tactical activity that you are going to do to help you meet the objective of understanding where your clients feel satisfied. So in your marketing plan, it's always about revisit that objective and then talk about how it is you're going to meet that goal. And it makes it a lot easier. Some people feel that that's a hard thing to pull together, the difference between the objectives and tactics. But the tactics are all about the hows. Now, I mentioned before that this is equally important, how you stay in touch with your contacts, having a plan. Remember in the beginning we talked about our top 10 lists. My view is that for each one of those individuals, for them to have made your top 10 list in the first place, they need to, if they made your top 10 list, they're important to you. They're going to be a big part of moving forward. Now, you can change your top 10 list, of course, throughout the year, but my encouragement to you is to have a mini plan for each of those people and say, this is an important enough person that I'm going to strategize on how I can best stay in touch with them over the course of the year. So review those top 10 lists, and for each person, put a little mini marketing plan in place. And as Christy's talked about in the past, it takes 14 touches to really convert someone from a contact or a prospect into an active client or referral source. That's why I want you to focus. That's why I want you to work from the top 10 lists. And those touches, as we've talked about in the past, do not have to be 14 lunches, 14 coffees. It can be an email. It can be your social media, interacting with people on social media. There are many, many ways to efficiently get to those 14 touches. But until you commit and actually put these reminder messages to yourself into your calendar as you would any other important message, if you take your top 30 people at the beginning of the year and sort of plot them into when it is you want to follow up with them, then you're actually going to do it because it's going to be in your calendar. And as long as you treat your calendar and those marketing appointments as you would any other important item, then you are well on the road to implementing your contact, the contact portion of your marketing plan. Remember, it's about activities and it's about contacts. And it's the contacts who are going to hire you. It's the marketing, it's the activities that are going to soften the market so that when you do follow up with your contacts, they're going to say, oh, yeah, of course I know you. I follow your blog. I see your posts that you make on LinkedIn. So it's marketing that softens the marketplace and the activities that you do so that when you are following up with your contacts, they know who you are and they know what you do. Now, one of the tools, and Christy actually did a whole entire webinar on this topic, is having a sales pipeline. We have a recorded version of the webinar on our website. If you would go to psm-marketing.com www.salespipe.com and then search on our marketing motivation tools. You'll be able to see all of the past webinars we recorded. But the sales pipeline is important because it tracks the way in which you move people through your process of being a prospect, having the first meeting, following up with them. It helps you, again, anytime you can put a process around something, it's far more likely that you will actually accomplish it. So I encourage you to think about incorporating a sales pipeline into your contact management program for next year. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about beefing up your marketing tools. So what I'm doing here in Part 5 is I'm getting tactical with you. But as I look at all of the activities that the tools that our clients have that literally help them generate business, I want to touch on some of those that I feel are most important. There are hundreds of ideas out there, but what I want you to spend your time focusing on are those that I feel are A-level priorities for you. So let's start with the importance of having a strong, well-written biography. Many times, if you're in a firm, you go through the exercise of kind of updating. It's not a priority. You're missing. There's some holes in your biography. But your biography is going to be the tool, just as is your LinkedIn profile. So when I say beef up your biography, I should have put / LinkedIn profile. Your biography needs to concisely convey who you are, what you do, the value you bring. This is yet another place where you can use those key messages in your biography and on your profile. What I like about this is a website that we recently did for one of our clients, Schaefer Helene Law Firm, and we also had all of the attorneys identify their client service philosophy, what it is that they do that really inspires them and why they love to work with clients. They're written in first person, but they really show you what it is that person loves most about being, in this case, an attorney. Sometimes bios can go on and on and on and on, and it's not that there isn't the substance to accommodate that, but what we've done in this case, and I'm throwing this out as a possible idea for you, we've actually created almost a little mini microsite around all of the attorneys in this firm. So as you can see across the top, there's a pure biography. Then there's a page with results. There's a separate page that includes articles and presentations that the attorney has made. We have a section for involvement. Where are you involved in your industry, trade associations, community activities, board involvement? And then we have a tab for awards, because professionals are always winning awards, and it's a credibility building thing to list those on your biography. So I want to just show you, because this is the second part. So if I'm on the website and I click results, I go to this page. Now, as you can see, this page really conveys the meat of what Larry Schaefer does for his clients. What we did, the way we organized the results, is around a simple process. You don't need a white paper to focus on your results, but I am telling you that the results you generate for your clients are going to show others the level at which you play, so they know that you are a very high-level knowledgeable person. You obviously don't use, in this case, okay, so Larry, as I'm saying that, I'm looking at Jensen versus Evelyn Mines. Well, this was a huge case, and it was actually the basis of the movie North Country with Charlize Theron, and Larry was essentially the Woody Harrelson character in that movie. So obviously that's a big case for him, and we wanted to highlight that. But generally speaking, you don't identify information about the name of the client. You define who they are from the standpoint of, 48-year-old retired executive, or so that no one can ever trace it back to the actual individual. You identify their problem, what it is they came to you with, why they started, why they called you in the first place, why they decided to work with you. What was your approach to meeting their issue or problem, or providing that service that you do that makes you so unique? What was your approach? And then finally, what was the solution? How did you resolve their issue and their problem? And the combination of your biography and the results and articles and involvement and everything you're seeing here, these pages are the most highly visited on any one firm's website, or even on your own individual firm website if you're a solo practitioner. So really focus on beefing up those marketing messages using everything we've been talking about in terms of key message development to create the strongest marketing tool possible for yourself. Now, there are also some creative things that we've seen in terms of print pieces. This is a client who created, we call these sell sheets, but I'm sure that doesn't sit well with some people, but it's basically a 2-page document that says, this is who Karen is, this is her client service philosophy. I'm sorry, it's a little bit small and you can't read it, but I just want you to see that this is something that Karen uses when she's meeting with someone before she meets with a new referral source. She'll send this to that individual. The topic here is about this is also an important communication piece, but it makes it very easy for those referral sources that you're working with to refer you. Because what they can do then is if you send them a PDF of this piece, they can easily forward it on to somebody instead of just saying, oh, yes, you should call this person, they're great. Well, here's some background. I've actually had clients, many clients over the years who've created pieces like this, literally generate business, because the other thing that ends up happening as a professional is people don't realize the broad scope of what you can do for them. What they know is what you did for them in one situation, but they have no idea that there are other areas of expertise that you offer or that your firm offers. So the concept here is to come up with something that will make it easy for people to refer you. They can also do that quite easily on LinkedIn, and I know we've done webinars before on using LinkedIn to develop business, and we also have some of those resources on our website as well, because LinkedIn goes hand in glove really with everything that we're talking about today. Now I want to spend a little bit of time on your website. Many times once a website initiative is done, maybe it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, everyone is just so relieved that it's off their plate that sometimes the website is ignored and not kept current. And I just want to suggest to you, and one of the things that you're going to be able to ask for at the end of our webinar when you stay on and complete the evaluation is a copy. We have a little website audit tool that we're happy to share with you. But what you want to look at is, first of all, when you have a website, one of the most important things you can do is to make sure that it is connected to a Google Analytics type program, which a lot of people glaze over and they're like, I don't want to see all the analytics of my website. But I want to stress that the more you know about the visitors to your website, how they're getting to your website, who's referring them to your website, how long they're staying on your website, what pages they're accessing, what keywords did they use to find you. This is the magic recipe for that elusive term, search engine optimization. You need to know how people are finding you currently in order to leverage that. There's so many new technologies out there. It's really not even acceptable anymore to have a website that is simply an online brochure. You want to have a website that conveys valuable knowledge and information, is interactive, allows people to reach out and connect to you. One of the things that we've helped a number of our clients do is to add video to their website. So many of our clients who have websites, they will have not only an individual or a blog, a written blog, but they'll have a series of vignettes that are video blogs. And many people would prefer doing a video blog. So the concept here is whatever you do as you're looking at your marketing plan, Christy and I really encourage you to look at your website and to go out and to search your competitors' websites. Start a list of things, whether you do it in the beginning of the year or the end of the year. You should always be keeping your website current. That's another way to drive people to get to index. Well, Google indexes websites, which means it just makes it easier for people to find you. And if you are constantly changing and enhancing the content of your website, it's going to make you easier to be found online. So I'm not trying to do a whole little session here on websites and how to do search engine optimization. I just simply want to stress that it should be a priority for you because it's a critical communication tool. One thing that I want to share that I think is just astounding has to do with our own PSM website. We realized through our own Google Analytics that 50% of the traffic that's coming to our website is coming as a redirect through LinkedIn. So Christy and I have actively been increasing our social media presence this year, and as a result, we can literally track, when you're talking about how do you measure results, we can literally track that 50% of our website visitors are coming to us through the social media that we're doing. So just to recap, these are the simple steps for developing your marketing plan. Remember, we talked about the importance of identifying your top 10 contacts, clients, referral sources, prospective clients, and building your marketing plan around those individuals. We discussed how important it is to have key messages that communicate the value that you bring as a professional and answer that message, well, why should I hire you? It's critical to have those and to know who it is you're marketing to know those audiences and to create some specific messages around those unique and different audiences. It's important to have objectives that will allow you to measure the results of your marketing activities. Nobody wants to feel at the end of the year like, yeah, well, I did all this marketing stuff and I'm not really sure. I think some of it worked, some of it didn't. You need those marketing objectives. They're the core. They're part of the foundation of your marketing plan. But then you need the action plan with your contacts, with your activities that are going to back up and bring life to those marketing objectives. You need to make sure that while you're doing all of this, you have the marketing tools that you need to best convey your expertise to the marketplace. And it's a combination of having this marketing plan in place that's going to allow you to achieve those growth goals. Don't forget to do that revenue analysis so that you can really have a real business development goal. So all of these things combined, and again, the steps are all noted on our most recent blog post, are going to help you assess your current practice, put this marketing plan in place, commit to implementing the plan, even if you just do a little bit each day, and measure the results. So at this point, we have a couple of minutes left, and I would like to open it up for questions. So, all right. Christy is going to take the questions.
Well, Terry, we have a question for you from a person who's in the accounting industry who wants to know, as it pertains to new staff, what would you suggest be included in their first-year marketing goals?
That's an excellent question. And in fact, when I was a law firm marketing director, we had business development goals for brand new attorneys right out of law school all the way up to the partners. And I think, assuming that it's a professional services business and these individuals are also ultimately going to want to become rainmakers and revenue generators, what's most important in their marketing goals is to stay in touch with their current clients, contacts, to stay in touch with the people they went to college with, the people who are currently in their network, not to allow themselves to get so busy that they forget about their network. Because we all know it's frustrating if somebody calls us after 4 years and, you know, hey, how are you doing? Well, they obviously want something from us, so it's important for newer professionals to focus on staying in touch with their, whether it's law school, business school, undergrad contacts, their community members. It's also really important for new professionals to practice their marketing and client development skills on the more senior people in the firm. I've done a lot of associate training presentations, and one of the things I always encourage the new attorneys in this case to do is to view the partners as their clients. So making sure that they are practicing their client service, they're practicing their communication skills with the people who are really, in essence, their first primary client. They might be doing client work. And then third, I would say make sure that you identify on paper what you expect some of those goals to be. Because many times new associates, new professionals are told, just work really hard. Don't worry about marketing right now. That's way down the road. You don't have to think about that now. But the fact that you are thinking about it is excellent, because what you're doing is you're starting to you're starting to create an expectation that marketing and business development and client service is part of what the expectation is of being a professional. And I've worked with a lot of firms also that will say, oh, our associates are too busy to market, or our junior partners, they just don't have time. And I ask the partners, why do you allow that? If they're going to be a part of your firm, start when they're young, new professionals and help them develop what maybe you didn't develop and have had to learn the hard way, which is to weave and integrate marketing in to everything they do. And also when you do their review, make sure that there's a marketing component to it. I think we have another question, and Christy's going to summarize it for us.
Terry, can you speak a little bit about how you would decide upon a marketing budget?
Marketing budgets aren't they fun? I think the first thing that you want to do is you want to do an analysis of where you've spent money in the past, whether it's been advertising. Look at the past couple of years. Maybe it's client entertainment. A lot of firms will have client entertainment budgets that they offer up to the professionals in their firms. Many times those don't even get used. Step number one is assess where the budget dollars have been spent in the past on marketing, but also what the return on investment was based on those expenses. You then look at the objectives that you're going to create in this business plan that I know you're all going to hang up from this call and start working on. You look at the objectives. You consider the tactics, and for each one of those tactics, you need to determine if one of your tactics or goals, objectives is to increase name recognition within a certain industry, and you decide that you're going to conduct some sort of a seminar. Well, if you go through your marketing plan tactic by tactic, you're going to be able to identify the budget dollars required to do that. You look at them individually, then you add everything up and say, well, that's way too much. That's $300,000. We can't do that this year. So that's when you start paring it down. But budgeting should really be about what's worked in the past, not repeating past mistakes, and acknowledging and planning for the activities that you want to do based upon your marketing plan. The marketing plan should guide the budget. We have time for one more question.
Okay, this question came, Terry, from a couple different people, but I'm going to read this one from Todd in particular. Do you have a template that you would recommend using for firms who might be building a marketing plan for the first time, or for individuals who are interested in recreating their existing format?
Very interesting question. The short answer is, we absolutely do, because this is what we do. We do marketing for firms. We do marketing coaching for individuals. So we have all kinds of templates and processes to help people get their arms around what it is they're doing. When we do strategic planning for firms, I would say there are a couple of other levels, too, that you would look at from marketing planning. And from that perspective, you've got the big umbrella of the firm-wide marketing activities that are going to benefit everybody. But then, one step lower, you might have industry groups. You might have practice groups that need their own marketing plan. You might have regional offices where there are going to be opportunities in one part of the country that there aren't in another. And then finally, you need a template for individual professionals. So the answer is we absolutely have those. Do we throw them out into the public forum? Not really. You can go to our website, and in our marketing motivation tools and through our blog posts, we are into knowledge sharing. We want to be perceived as thought leaders. But generally speaking, our templates, yes, they're there, and we use them every day when we work with and coach our clients. But they're not things that we just post out for the world. But there are some really, really good, valuable things if you go to our marketing motivation tools and access our blog. You'll find a lot of good information. So with that, I hope you don't think that was a completely evasive answer, but with that, we would really like to encourage you to stay on the call and give us your feedback. Christy and I are in the midst of a strategic planning retreat right now, yesterday and today, and we really want your input on the topics that would be of most interest to you so that we can build our 2014 plan around what's going to help you most. So I'm going to exit the call. I'd like to thank all of you for attending. I hope this has given you some great ideas. You can absolutely ask us for a copy of the slides. There are other things, free things that you can ask us for as well. We're always available if you want to talk or brainstorm. Our contact information is on the last slide, our email address, our website. We would love to talk with you. We are passionate about marketing planning and would like to help you in any way. So with that, I'd like to thank each of you for taking your time today to attend the webinar, and please do watch for the announcement on all of the 2014 webinars that we will be doing as part of our Marketing Motivation Series. So happy holidays to each of you. Please stay on the call and you will be directed to our evaluation. Thanks again. Have a great day.